Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up with you.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How are you? This is your boy Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, and we are back at it again with another great episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, coming at you from our usual spot in Wheaton, Maryland. That's right, the Prototype Studio, and I'm really glad to be here. Now, as a friendly reminder, I have been known by a lot of monikers, a lot of nicknames. I am the host with the most, I am the man with the plan. I am the guy that can bring the power within the hour, and the dude with the right attitude. And it's great to be here. Obviously, right now, by the time that we're recording this, we're in the middle of September now. So now fall is right around the corner, basically. I mean, we still have a few more days technically until the summertime actually comes to an end. But the fall time is coming. I already see the symptoms. I already see the signs. It gets a little bit darker, a little bit more earlier now. The weather is a little bit more cooler. It's not as hot, and it's not as humid as it usually is during the summertime. So in that case, it's like, dude, I am so happy and I'm ready to go. Which means at this time now, we are now going to be in the season of jeans and hoodies. I'm so pumped. And even more so, I gotta be honest with you. NFL season, the National Football League. Football is back, baby. It is back in full effect, and I'm glad. I'm really glad. Not to say that I don't like baseball, because I do, but I feel like you get more action with football than you do baseball. You know what I mean? And right now, as we speak, my team, the Baltimore Ravens, are 1-1. We lost the first game against the Buffalo Bills on that one Sunday night national game. That was really rough. To lose by 1 point and to basically give that game away. It was, I would say that it wasn't like something that brought me to tears, but it was definitely upsetting, But this past Sunday, we got the redemption. First game back in the home turf in Baltimore at M&T Bank Stadium. And, we won against the Cleveland Browns with under the QB leadership of Joe Flacco, who was a Baltimore Raven and was one of the reasons why we got our second Super Bowl in the history of, Baltimore's organization. So it was really cool. Just, sorry for his luck. The Baltimore Ravens came to play, and, they didn't want to lose again. They did not want to be 0-2. They wanted to go ahead and at least win one so they could be 1-1, and it was exciting. So, yeah. Lots to talk about today. A lot on the plate. We definitely have, two segments. One segment each to cover, each subject matter. And then also, obviously we're going to have our Q&A forum at the very end of it. So I'm really excited. Again, we're in the booth. We're here over in the Prototype Studio. It's great. It's comfortable. It's wonderful. And, everything is good. I got my mic here. My iPhone right now is currently recharging and at 73%. I got the computer right in front of me. So if I need to look up any bit of information, I can just go ahead and do it. And I can look stuff up real quick. And, it'll be fast and it'll be just like that, you know what I mean? Like if I need to find something real quick, because of the internet that we have here, over here in the prototype studio, it's like, hey, let me go ahead and figure this out. Question, give me an answer. Boom, there it is. The answer's right there, and I'm pumped, man. I'm seriously pumped, and I'm excited, and I'm ready to go. So let's go ahead, get into it. This past weekend, if you guys were paying attention in the wide world of sports, we had a boxing event courtesy of Netflix. Terence Bud Crawford going against Saul Canelo Alvarez for I think it was a title that Canelo had. I think it was like the super. I don't know if it was the Super Middleweight or something like that, but it was definitely one of Canelo's titles. And to be honest with you, first and foremost, I have to say congratulations to Terence Crawford because, number one, and most importantly, let's put it out there on the table, he won. He won by unanimous decision, which means the following. Number one, the man is still undefeated. I mean, he is, yet to have a defeat in his professional boxing career. So for that reason and that reason alone, that is awesome. But more importantly, he won against a legend in the sport of Canelo Alvarez, and therefore solidifying himself as probably one of the greatest boxers, at least of this generation. I don't know. I mean, there's going to be a debate now about maybe that Terence Crawford's going to probably be the best of all time. And there could be some validity to that because if you're a multi-champion of like 4 different weight classes, I don't think that there's anyone out there as yet to do that in the history of the boxing sport. So for him to really be the one to do that and to accomplish that, that's amazing. That's really amazing, and I tip my hat off to him. Now, I have to be fair. Although going into this fight, he was undefeated, and a lot of people were picking on him to win it, which was, solid bet. I don't think that you could have gone wrong with it. My money was on Canelo Alvarez. I just figured hey, he's a multi-champion. He's got more experience. I feel like, this is something that Canelo was going to go ahead and do. And I know this is a little bit not really related to boxing, but I think because on that day, on that Saturday, I believe, it was, what was the holiday? The Mexican Independence Day. So I kind of felt like, hey, if it's Mexican Independence Day, I think that, Canelo should win. Not only because of the fact that he's a real good fighter and he knows what to do, but, it's a Mexican national holiday. And, not to say that, there would be anything wrong with Terence Crawford winning, but, I had a silly notion like, man, if Terence Crawford wins, that's going to look bad for all Mexicans knowing that, Canelo lost on a Mexican national holiday. You know what I mean? And when I saw the fight, I tuned in on Netflix, and if you guys have Netflix and you haven't seen it yet, you can go and watch it. It's still there. Any event of Netflix, as once it's in there, it's recorded and it's done. It's going to be in their collection, in their archives, so you can go over to watch the fight again. For those that, like, let's say for example, if you saw the fight and you really liked it and you want to watch it again, go to Netflix. Obviously you can go ahead and watch it again, no problem. If you have Netflix and you never saw the fight, you really need to see it. It was literally 12 rounds of boxing, and from beginning to end, it really looked like Terence Crawford had an answer for every question that Canelo had put out on the table. What Canelo was putting out there, Crawford had it. Crawford had the answer. He knew what he needed to do. He knew what was expected him to do, and he did it. He really did it. There were a couple of rounds that Canelo did win, for sure. But at the end of the day, you go 12 rounds, and, all three judges, scored unanimously that Terence Crawford won. There's no questioning that. And I have to give credit where credit's due. Canelo did, he did a good job. He shows the reason why that he is a warrior and he is a champion. And, you can't take that away from Canelo. Canelo's been boxing for many a years. You know what I mean? He's got like 60-some fights in his career. My man's been like boxing for a very, very, very long time. Now, that being said, we're going to address a little bit of the elephant that's in the room, which is, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of speculation about whether or not that in the world of boxing, and especially like if it's like a title fight, if one person wins, the other person wants to go ahead and run it back. They want a rematch. So they'll probably, at that point, it's like, okay, let's work a deal where we can have a part 2 of that fight. And normally the way that works is that, hey, if I lost the championship fight and, I want to try to get it back, this might be my time to win it. Now, should there be a part 2 to this, this fantastic story? I think I feel like there should be, because I feel like if Canelo would have really done what he usually does, I think that he really would have won it, guaranteed. But because he didn't do it, it's like, at least in my opinion, there's going to have to be a situation where maybe Canelo wants to have some kind of redemption to get that back. And he probably might be on a mission, number one, to try to be the first person to give Terence Crawford his very first defeat. On the other hand, it's also like when you do like a rematch, you're also doing it not only because you want to set things right the first time because maybe it didn't go the way that you wanted it to, but you also want to make money. Depending on the card and depending on the people who's fighting, what event, you could make a lot of money with that. You really could. And I think with these two guys, why not? You have probably one of the most popular Mexican imports of boxing that the sport had to offer, not since the days of Julio Cesar Chavez. Yeah. And you have somebody right now that is like a bona fide stud and an undefeated machine in Terence Crawford. And I feel like if they really ran it back again, number one, I think it would probably exceed expectations, from the first fight to this fight. Like the numbers would go way up, more than you would expect. I also believe that with this fight, both men would probably profit more because they probably would make more money with this fight than they did with this fight that just happened over the weekend. If that was to happen, I think that would be great for the sport of boxing. If you asked me, who do I think would win? I still think that Canelo would have a shot, and I would still pick Canelo. I already know that the proof is in the pudding, and, again, Terence Crawford maybe 2 or 3 steps ahead of Canelo in that whole fight. But something tells me if there is one person that could dethrone Terence Crawford and to give him his very first professional loss, his first professional defeat, it would be Canelo Alvarez. When that's going to happen, I don't know. Usually, after a fight like this, it probably may take like a year and a half, maybe two. You know, because there's going to be some times that both fighters will need to take some mandatory, rest and relaxation for their bodies to recover. Because after fighting a fight like that, you need to have a long time to recover so that you can be back at 100%. If that happens, and obviously they would probably want to start training, so they would have their training camp. That may take a little bit. Some training camps last 6 months, some last a little bit more than 6 months. Sometimes there's some training camps that last a little bit less. But either way, it's going to open a lot of questions, and a lot of people will wonder whether or not if it's possible that if they ran it back, if Canelo Alvarez could do it to give, Terence Crawford his very first defeat and to win back the title that he lost. I don't know. But I feel like there's something good with that. And, when it happens, and we'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break, do what you need to do, but come right back because round 2 of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is going to be happening, and we're just getting started. I want to tell you about an amazing store that's really good for all musicians, music enthusiasts, and a whole lot more, which is Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center in Wheaton, Maryland. That's right, you heard it correctly. Since 1958, Chuck Levin's has been actually tearing up the game when it comes to the music scene. And guess what? Since 1958, they have been the store to go to and a must-visit destination for any serious musician passing through our nation's capital. So, if you're actually a person that's in a band looking for a new instrument, such as an electric guitar, an acoustic guitar, a bass guitar, or maybe some drums, if you're a DJ looking for like the greatest DJ equipment, such as turntables and so forth, they got you. Hey, are you actually in an orchestra playing a woodwind instrument, brass instrument, or strings? They got you. They got all the classical instruments that you need. And let's not forget, for all my fellow podcasters, need a microphone? They got you. Need a podcasting vocal track recorder? They got you. They got everything, man. And I'm telling you, it's the best place to go. So if you want to check them out, go ahead and do so, because right here at Chuck Levin's, they're the best. Forget the rest. Mess with the best. Located over at 11151 Veers Mill Road in Wheaton, Maryland. They're open Monday through Saturdays, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. If you want to know more about what they have to offer, you can go over to chucklevins.com online or give them a buzz at area code 301-946-8808. Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center. Like I said before, don't worry about the rest. Mess with the best.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Round 2 of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience has now commenced. It felt good to take a little bit of a break. I just needed to step outside. I needed to breathe. I needed to relax. Because sometimes in life, when you are a creative person like myself, and if you're a podcaster like myself, sometimes you need to take a little bit more of an extra time to get prepared. Sometimes it's going to be for the reason that you're going to be talking about something that really hits you in the feels, might make you feel a little bit emotional. And this is it. This is one of those things. I really try hard. I have a cardinal rule. And the rule is this. I usually don't like to try to, I don't want to talk about anything negative because, I'm a positive person. And I'm a type of person that really likes to, talk about, good things, uplifting things that make people feel very happy about, themselves and so forth and so much more. But sometimes, though, at least for me, I feel like if there's something that I really need to get off my chest, I need to go ahead and do it, and I need to address it, because if I don't, I feel like, man, it's going to be a real bad situation, and whatever that I hold inside, I just feel like, man, this is not going to be a good situation at all whatsoever. So yeah, it sucks for sure, but at the end of the day, I feel like, hey, I gotta be me. I gotta do what's in the best interest of, not only this podcast, but myself. And I do feel a little bit upset. I feel really bad about it for a lot of reasons. But I think I just need to go ahead and get right to it. Because like they said, ain't nothing to it but to do it, right? So, I recently found out that a friend of mine of many, many years passed away. And the messed up part is that she had actually passed away 2 years ago. So I'm late to the party of finding out that she's long gone. And it really hurt me on the inside. It really got me on the feels. Now, let me explain what is going on here. Like, let me give you a little bit of some history. Because I feel like, we need to explain, the beginning, the genesis of how this all began. The girl that I knew, her name was Marchelle Ayers. When I first met her years and years ago, she was Marshall Campbell. At the time, she was working over at a pet store, and literally one store down was the Chevy Chase Bank, now known as Capital One Bank. I was working for them in Annapolis years ago. And she would always come over to, my branch because obviously, number one, it was close by where she worked at that pet store. Their business actually had an account with us. And she also was, had a personal account for herself because she was, needing to save money for, her college education and so forth. When I met her, she was a senior in high school, and she was accepted to go over to Towson University, where she was going to study nursing. And, we became really cool friends. It started like, hey, a customer, and, you're my customer, and I would help you out and so forth. And it worked out great. She was very polite. I really appreciated her positive energy. And, obviously with, her just being so nice to me, I wanted to go ahead and give that back. You know what I mean? I felt like that was a real good thing. So, we kept a real cool relationship in that sense. Every so often, I would probably see her over at like a local Starbucks or maybe over at the Annapolis Mall, because obviously she has a life outside of school and so forth, and obviously she loves Starbucks coffee, and obviously at the time the Annapolis Mall was probably one of the best malls to go to in Anne Arundel County. So seeing her on a regular basis, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like, I really like this situation. I think this is awesome. I think it's great. And it's really cool. And we started to be more of good friends once I actually left Chevy Chase Bank. When I started working somewhere else, I would see her a little bit more frequently anywhere else, and we just started to know each other. She knew about the fact that I was trying to be a film actor, which she really loved. She was like, wow, that's incredible. I think that you have the potential to do it. All you need to do is just do your thing and believe in yourself and make it happen. And we kept in touch throughout the years because if anyone remembers, there was this thing online called America Online Instant Messenger. And we would always contact each other and chat with each other from there because, that was our only way of, free communication. Obviously, we couldn't, at the time, cell phones weren't as, common as they are now. And if you had a cell phone back then, you pretty much were the person. Like, if you were a guy, you were the man. You had it. You had the juice. If you were a woman, you were the woman. You had the juice because you had a phone. You know what I mean? So we would always keep in contact with each other, and we would always say to each other, like, hey, if you ever need anything, let me know. Obviously I want to go ahead and support you as a person and you wanting to do whatever it is that you want to do. And I wish you the best on that. And it felt good to hear that. And I will be honest to say that I do have some female friends in my life, but there are very few of them that are in my circle. And Marchelle was in my circle because she believed in me, because she was really nice to me, because her being nice, she actually meant that. It was very sincere. So I really felt, happy, and I felt honored to have earned her friendship. It was great. As the years passed, we would catch up every now and then. Obviously now, with Facebook, we became Facebook friends and we chatted through Facebook Instant Messenger. She knew that I wanted to be in the arts of podcasting, and she thought that was an incredible idea. And like my late friend Jonathan Henderson, she actually said the same thing, like, dude, that is incredible that you want to do that. I think that you have the right type of personality for it. You're well-spoken. You being an actor would probably make sense because that might be a little bit of an easy transition. And you should just see where it goes because you never know where this potential activity can lead you. I mean, the worst comes to worst. If you don't like it, you can stop. And that's it. Nothing more to it than that, other than you tried, but it just turned out not to be exactly the way that you wanted it to. And that's that. So I said, yeah, for sure. And since then, she heard about the podcast and she's heard a couple of episodes. She was really proud. She heard about, stuff that I've been doing with acting. She was really proud of that. And, for a while thereafter, we stopped talking to each other. And it wasn't nobody's fault. It really wasn't. It was one of those things where, life really gets busy for people, And there's nothing wrong with that, I'm pretty sure if life was busy for you and I'm a friend of yours, I understand it and I get it. Because, you have to take care of what you need to take care of. Obviously, at the time, after Marchelle graduated from Towson, she was entering the nursing field, and then later on she moved over to Richmond, Virginia, and she was trying to establish herself there in the nursing field, and then she became like an adjunct professor over at Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond. And she was going through a lot, traveling everywhere and, just doing what she needed to do with her job and her occupation. And I was understanding of it. I really was. I was like, you know what? I get it. We'll definitely catch up with each other at a certain point in time. So to me at that point, I was like, hey, it is what it is. We're going to do what we do, right? Recently, I was thinking a lot about her, and I wanted to kind of check in. And one of the ways that I've checked in to see how she's doing is that I would check her out on her social media page. Well, I did that. I did do that. And come to find out through a surprise when I read that she had passed away 2 years ago. It was not said on her passing of like how she passed. There was no mention of that. It was just more like a lot of people writing on her page saying, hey, like something like happy heavenly birthday, or like, I can't believe it's been 2 years since she went away. And it really got to me, I had to find out if it was true or not. So I actually got in contact with a mutual friend of ours. And she actually, she confirmed it. I asked her, I said, hey, I've been reading a lot on social media that apparently Marchelle passed away. Is it true or not? Yeah, it's true. It happened about 2 years ago. I'm just surprised that you heard about it just now. It really, just even mentioning it disturbs me. I'm still in shock because she was really close to my age bracket, like, pretty close. And, to me, passing on, no matter what age you are, it hurts. It hurts the family. It hurts her friends. And you think, like, at least at this moment in time, how can somebody like yourself, being as young as you are, with no bad health history, pass away? And that part we'll never know. And maybe we weren't meant to know. But, to have a friend like Marchelle, like I did, was one of the greatest things that happened to me. I love the fact that she was very supportive. I love the fact that she, really cared. Whenever that, I was having a good day or a bad day, she was there. And whether or not, if it was one of those things where, if I really needed to really have that deep conversation with her, she would be okay about it. Because she really cared about my well-being. She cared about, me wanting to be in a good place in life. And she cared about me wanting to succeed. And she was a full supporter of that. 100% full supporter of everything and anything that I did. And if she was here right now, I would definitely say that, number one, I love you. And number two, I miss you. There is not another person that would ever take your place, and not like they could. You were somebody that definitely meant a lot to me in my life then and even till now. To be one of those rare people that was always in my corner and never talking anything bad about me, and was always in the forefront, just giving me support and backing me up on it. and really telling people in their faces, like, look, I believe in this guy. I think this guy's incredible. You know, you may not like him, that's fine. I could care less, but, you know, I truly believe in this dude. And I just hope that, you know, maybe one day you'll give him an opportunity too. And I miss her. I really do. You know, first and foremost, I want to say that, you know, I want to send my condolences to, you know, her family and her friends, because I know that they really meant a lot to her in her life, and she meant a lot to them in their lives. And if somehow Marchelle's parents and friends are listening to this, I would definitely say that my thoughts and prayers are with you. My sincerest condolences are with you guys. You know, and I just hope that somewhere down the line you will find peace, and you will find you know, you will find, like, you know, the energy to, you know, work through it and live life and continue on. We lost a good person in Marchelle Ayers, and we're going to miss her. Well, let me go and take a little bit of a break. When we come back, your favorite session, you know, greatest, you know, part of the show, you know, the greatest segment in mind, the Q&A forum, question and answers. You ask it, I answer it. It's going to be a good time. So let me go ahead and do what I need to do. Take a break, guys, and we will be right back.
In life, we all want to have great health and excellent physical fitness. However, it's never given, only earned. That said, if you want to go to a gym that will help you to get there, then look no further than Kicked Up Fitness at National Business Parkway in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. Their mission at Kicked Up is to provide the ultimate functioning training facility that focuses solely on your success, with a diverse team that's highly qualified and dedicated to taking your fitness goals to the next level. Kicked Up also offers a variety of group classes and personal training programs that provide something for everyone, regardless of your fitness level. They believe in working hard, achieving results, all while having fun. So come visit their facility in person, which is located at 114 National Business Parkway, Suite 100 in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, 20701. Now, if you see my friend Sean Queen, who's the owner of Kicked Up, tell him that Benny Chow of Miscalculated sent you, and he'll hook you up with a complimentary 7-day pass just to try it out. Need more info? Give him a call. 410-888-9066. Email them at kufitnessnbp@gmail.com or visit them at their website at www.kufitnessnbp.com. Kicked Up Fitness. Never given, only earned.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
Welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. And this is the moment that we've all been waiting for, the moment of the show where, you know, we get to do our favorite segment. But before we get into that, I must read our, regular disclaimer. which is that the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is asking for help on a voluntary basis to anyone that would like to assist our podcast shows by the ways of, sponsorship and or financially donating to the podcast show to help make the quality of our podcast a lot better. Now, all the proceeds that we raise will go towards getting more equipment and better equipment that we need, such as microphones for in-studio guests, the XLR cables for the microphones, headphones for our in-studio guests, and a whole lot more, including a MacBook Pro, which is the official computer of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience that actually helps us to edit each and every episode into the high quality, work that you get to hear every single time that you dial in. So, I mean, it's just that and that alone. Any and every, amount that you would like to donate will help out, no matter what. So, for example, and I'm inserting this joke here, that if you want to donate $5 million, which I don't think anybody would want to do that, but hey, if you did, God bless you, we would appreciate that. To even as low as $5, I mean, every little bit helps. And, again, we do appreciate your generosity and your support. And you can make that donation through the following. You can use PayPal and or Venmo. And all you need to do is, once you either use that phone app or if you use it on, its website, donate through our, screen name, or in my case, my screen name, the tag name, at Kim Hoang MD Actor. Once again, that's at KIMHOANG MD ACTOR. So once again, at KIMHOANG MD ACTOR. On Cash App, you can donate using the tag name $ Kim Hoang MD Actor. Once again, $ KIMHOANG MD ACTOR. And now the moment of truth, ladies and gentlemen, the Q&A forum, question and answer. That's right. You ask them questions, and guess what? We are going to answer them. That's right. I'm excited, and I hope you are too. Normally, we have been doing each show. Usually, we do 7 questions, right? This time, we are a little bit generous, and by that we mean we are going to add 2 more bonus questions. So, in a grand total, the grand scheme of things, you get 9 questions in total. So I'm really happy about this. I'm actually really excited and ready to go. I don't know about you, but I think it's about time that we do the darn thing. So let's get to it. All right. All right, here we go. Question number 1. Kim, recently Molly Qerim of ESPN's First Take announced that she is leaving the show and the ESPN network. What are your thoughts? Chase from Bristol, Connecticut. Wow. All right. Way to really start us off. Chase, we got to say it like this. Molly Qerim is quite the personality and very talented, and she's an expert at what she does. And being that she's been on with ESPN and with First Take for about a little bit over a decade, tells us, how much she influence that she has with the show and with the network. I definitely think that she is a trailblazer when it comes to female sport personalities. To me, I felt like she was the face of the show when it comes to First Take. When I heard about her departure, her leaving and wanting to leave ESPN, like a lot of people, other people that I know, we were in total shock, because that was something that we never really thought was ever going to happen, because we felt like she was doing a good job, she was in a good place, and we just thought that maybe she was going to be in it for the long haul. I was really disappointed, I could tell you that much, because I feel like every time that, I saw First Take during the week, she was one of the main reasons why I wanted to watch it, because I liked her energy. I liked the way that she presented a lot of things and her input and just her points of view. And the fact that, she was in there with a lot of guys, like Stephen A. Smith, and then sometimes you had Kendrick Perkins, Big Perk. You had other people like Dan Orlovsky, and then Ryan Clark and so forth. It was really good to kind of see her go against these other guys. Sports personalities, football players and basketball players, even to go up against somebody as Chris Mad Dog Russo, who is like a famous radio personality in New York that has his own show over on, I think it's on Sirius XM radio. I don't know why she's leaving. Like a lot of us do, we don't know what's going on. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of things in the rumor mill. Something about maybe possibly that she was trying to negotiate her contract with ESPN, and I guess the offer that was given on the table was unsatisfactory, and both parties just decided it was time to part ways, even though really truly I think that Molly made that decision. You don't pay the money, you don't get the honey. But I feel like at this point, if they want to get Molly Karen back, they better pay her top dollar, because she's worth every penny. Otherwise, I don't know what more I can say. It's simple as that. Question number 2. Kim, what are your opinions on the death of Charlie Kirk? Melanie from Scottsdale, Arizona. Holy cow. I was hoping nobody would ask me about this, but the fact that, we're going to talk a little bit about some politics, but not super. I think I can kind of flip it around a little bit. For those that didn't know, Charlie Kirk was an American right-wing, let me see if I can say this correctly, a right-wing Republican Party political activist who was also an author, and he was also like a personality in the media, including podcasting. He had been known most recently to do a lot of these, talk tours all around the United States and different parts of the world, going to universities and just, speaking his opinions. Most recently, for all of you guys who may not know or did know or, just wasn't really sure about what the heck was going on September the 10th of this year, Charlie Kirk basically got assassinated. Long story short, he was on his tour. And I believe he was over in a university over in Utah. He was, let me see, if I remember correctly, it was the Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. He was talking about his piece, and then unfortunately, some assailant, from 200 yards, which is about 2 football fields, shot Charlie Kirk in the neck, with the sniper rifle, and the rifle bullet hit him on the neck. Boom. And from that point, he was hit and pretty much died instantly. There are a lot of reasons why a lot of people may have liked him. There are a lot of people that may hate him, for whatever reason, whether if it's the way that he thinks, his way of politics, or, his philosophies. It is what it is there. I'm going to say, in terms of just, not even putting politics in the picture, I'm just speaking in the way of humanity. I'm never a fan of anybody dying, whether if it was by, assassination or just, natural causes. I'm never a fan of that. But the fact that somebody died under, somebody killing him, hey, I the only thing I can really honestly say is that, that's unfortunate. And the only thing I can honestly say is that I do feel bad knowing that he leaves behind a widow, a wife, and his 2 kids, his daughter who's like 5 years old, and his son, obviously younger than 5 years old. And the thought about they will now grow up without a father, a male figure, is saddening. What's even worse is that the kids and the wife were actually in the venue, in the spot, when he got assassinated and died. And that's tragic. And I think that's all I want to say. Because I feel like, when I say something like this, I know a lot of people may want to go ahead and flip the script. They may think that, I am pro Charlie Kirk, or I show favoritism. It's not me showing favoritism to the person. I'm just showing favoritism to humanity. And again, it's something where I believe, I don't believe in murder. I don't believe in killing our fellow human beings. Or death to our fellow human beings by any means of the necessary. And I'm not with that. And I think that's all I'm going to say. Question number 3. Kim, what do you think about when people make criticisms on other people's martial arts journeys to the black belt? Like if someone stopped training at 2nd degree black belt and then resumed training, some person dropped their opinions. Linda from Santa Barbara, California. Linda, this has happened to me before, where somebody actually threw an opinion on me when I stopped training for a while when I was a 2nd degree black belt before I went and trained and earned my 3rd degree black belt. People are going to have their opinions. It's a known fact. Opinions are like, opinions are like a body part on a human being, because everybody's got a body part. Everybody's got one, right? Doesn't mean that it's right. I feel like, when somebody is going through a martial arts journey, it's their journey, and they do whatever they feel is necessary and sees fit. If it's somebody like our peers that are also martial artists that are like the same rank as we are, like, I'm a black belt and another black belt made some kind of like a, opinion, I would take that over somebody that hasn't even trained at all, or somebody who's a subsequent level than I am. My thing is this: whatever it is that you decide to do, that's your right and your prerogative. And who are we to actually say, you know what, like, I really need your validation? Because I don't. Just because you have an opinion doesn't mean that you can make it. Especially if you're somebody that's not qualified because you're not even a black belt. You should kind of keep your comments to yourself, definitely. And just sit down and just be quiet. It's not fair. And it's not cool to put like undue pressure on the martial artists that are really trying to make it happen, especially us black belts. So know your place and know your role. That's all I'm going to say. Question number 4. Kim, congratulations on wrapping on Uncalculated the movie. Was there a difference in wrapping up with that film versus Miscalculated? George from Waldorf, Maryland. All right. Wrapping on Miscalculated, that was more time consuming because I had to be on the set for 2 days. The majority of it was basically all about taking that fight scene, taking it on, doing some stunts, and making it happen. And there was a lot that was involved in that. 100%, no doubt. And it took a little bit, but in the end, it was worth it because we did exactly what we had to do, stunts and fight scenes included. Yeah, it was a lot, but it was definitely it definitely needed to be done. This time around, because I will just give it like this. This is more like an uncalculated. It's more like a historical movie where you learn a little bit of the history before Miscalculated ever got there because it's a prequel. There wasn't as much involved. And I think that it took we needed a day, but it literally just took like a few hours just to get the job done. And it was cool because, all I really needed to concentrate on was dialogue. I didn't have to concentrate on anything else, and it was just cool, just to go ahead and be an actor and do what I was meant to do alongside my fellow actors that were portraying their roles, and some of the new people that are just new to the game of acting in the acting world. So overall, that's only the difference there. I had fun either way. It was a good time either way for both situations. And, now it's just like I look forward to the next challenge in life. What happens here? Where do we go? What do we do? I don't know, but I'm excited and I'm fired up, and I can't wait to see what happens in my acting career. So let's go for it. Question number 5, Kim, do you think that the Kansas City Chiefs, now being 0-2 so far in the NFL season, is there a huge need of concern for that organization? Erica from Richmond, Virginia. Erica, it's still early in the season. 0-2 is really not that bad. It could be so I still think that the Kansas City Chiefs could turn it around. They're 0-2 now, but who's to say that, maybe they'll win the next 11 games? Who knows? I don't know. I mean, anything and everything is possible. So I wouldn't just, hit the alarm button just yet. Like, if they were like 0-5 and 0-6, yeah, you can start asking questions, but 0-2 right now, I don't think there's a real big need of concern. So, question number 6, Kim, sunglasses, clip-ons for your eyeglasses. Is it a yes or is it a no? Roger from Billings, Montana. Roger, absolutely. I'm a big fan of the clip-ons for your eyeglasses. Number one, because it clips over your eyeglasses and it gives you protection, just like regular sunglasses. Only that you don't have to spend money to, get a new pair of sunglasses. And especially if you have glasses like me, you don't have to spend extra amount of money to make it a prescription sunglasses. You just buy the clip-ons, clip it over your eyeglasses, and they become like awesome, sunglass wear. And I have something like that for my eyeglasses. I think it's incredible. It makes me feel like Dwayne Wayne from the TV show A Different World, where he would actually have clip-ons for his eyeglasses, and he would just like kind of flip it down, and when it's sunny, he would just have them on, and I think it's good. Mine I bought them for I think $12.99 at Walmart. They're also polarized, and it's a good thing. So I'm a big fan of it. Huge fan of it. So it's really, really good. All right, let's keep the ball rolling. Question number 7, and then we're going to go to the bonus round. Kim, I saw that recently you celebrated your 1-year anniversary of working at your day job. First off, congratulations. And how do you feel about it? Shailene from Hobbs, New Mexico. Well, thank you very much, Shailene, for the congratulations. I do appreciate it. And I feel good. You know, anytime that you work 1 year, you know, at a place that you're employed at, you know, you have to admit that that is pretty good. You know, some people don't even make it to a year, and the fact that I made year 1 is incredible. And I hope that, you know, in the future, you know, there's going to be many more years for me to work there, to have a good time, and to do my very best within the company. Now we got bonus round. Here we go. Question number 8, Kim. Van shoes or Chuck Taylors? Rich from Overland Park, Kansas. Rich, if you're asking me, like, in terms of, like, the look for the shoes, I like them both. I think they're really good, and I think it's really awesome that they have, like, you know, such a great appearance. You know what I mean? The presentation of the shoes are pretty awesome. If you're asking me about, you know, which ones I like to wear for on my feet for like the comfort factor, then I would go Vans, because Vans are a little bit more wider. I feel like they're a little bit more comfortable because it gives that little wide comfort. And some of the Vans shoes actually have, like, you know, a nice little cushion on inside of it. So it's not like the Chuck Taylors where it's like, you know, canvas and it's all flat and it's uncomfortable. Some of the Vans do have some comfort now. And I think the Vans company really took that into consideration, and, you know, they made that as like a thing where, like, you know, we can use that to our advantage. So Vans shoes all the way for me to wear, but I still like Chuck Taylors. Either way, if your feet can support the, you know, wearing them, you're pretty much good to go. Last but not least, question number 9. Kim, in a previous episode of your podcast, you had mentioned that you have many martial art brands when it comes to martial art uniforms. Do you think that it's wrong to support all of these companies and not just one dominant company? Amelia from Palm Beach, Florida. Amelia, no, I don't think there's anything wrong with, like, getting, like, all of these martial art uniforms from different companies. Like I said, you know, you always have to find something that fits you and fits you well, and some, you know, a uniform that fits the occasion. You know, I have, like, a lot of everyday uniforms from Century Martial Arts, but I have, like, you know, really good heavyweight uniforms from, like, Key International. There's one that I have from Adidas, Golden Tiger Martial Arts, and even Sang Musa. Sang Musa is now under a new company called Best Martial Arts. And, you know, sometimes it'd be like that. You know, sometimes you're getting it for the comfort. Sometimes you're getting it for the fact that, you know, the quality lasts for a very long time. Sometimes, like, you know, Best Martial Arts, you get it because they cater more to a specific Korean style of martial arts. So for me, it's like, you know, I don't see anything wrong with it, because all the companies, like the martial art companies of Key International, Century Martial Arts, Best Martial Arts, Golden Tiger, Adidas, all of them, they're getting their money. They're getting their paper, you know? And, you know, I always feel like in that sense, there's always room for everybody. There's a lot of love to share within that space. So I don't think there's an issue. You know what I mean? I don't think there's any issue at all. That being said, we are done, ladies and gentlemen. This is good, and I like it. As always, you can follow us on Facebook. Just go over to facebook.com / the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, or just go to Facebook and then search for us over on the search box. You know, like it and follow it. We will appreciate you. We're also on Instagram and on Twitter, now known as X. You can follow us under our tag name at TKHPC Experience, all in one word in lowercase letters. If you please follow us, we will follow you back. We are on 6 podcasting platforms in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Audible, and iHeartRadio. Now, do us a solid favor. If you have Spotify, give us a 5-star ranking. If you have Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star ranking and a positive written review, because the more times that you do that for us, then that's going to be a more increased chance that our podcast will be thrown into the front of the lines and will get real good notice and traction and great visibility. Then when you get the visibility and you see it, somebody could be like, yo, it's the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I remember this because Mary told me to go ahead and like it, follow it, subscribe to it, etc., etc. Yes, please, like our podcast, follow our podcast, subscribe to our podcast and all the podcasting platforms, and please share the podcast on all of your social media, pages and outlets that you're a member of. No matter if it's like Facebook, if it's Instagram, if it's Twitter, now known as X. We also have Snapchat. We also have a whole bunch of social media outlets, including TikTok. That's a big one. So, go ahead and share it that way, or, share it in person. Talk to people. Talk to your family members, co-workers, friends, associates, constituents. Tell them in person that the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, it's the one to look at, and it's the one to listen to and to hear. And we appreciate it because in this situation, it's called that it's brand awareness. Sharing is caring. So if you advertise it a lot and you do us that solid, we definitely would appreciate it. Last but not least, if you want to be a special guest on our show or a guest host, if you have any questions for our Q&A form, or if you have any opinions, please email us at the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience at gmail.com. Whatever the subject is, put it in the subject box, and then in the body of the email, just write whatever it is you need to write, and then just ship it away. I will take a look at it, you know what I mean, and I will read it because I like that type of communication, and I will get back with you within a day or two. You know what I mean? That being said, guys, thank you so much for being here and for spending time with us. It's definitely been fun. The fact that we got to kick it together has been amazing. I liked it. It was really, really cool. And, we will definitely do it again. So please be safe out there, you know what I mean? Because life is meant to be enjoyed in a safe way. It doesn't do us any good if you put yourself in harm's way and then you somehow get, in a situation where you land in a pine box and get buried 6 feet under. We don't want that to happen to you because we want you to be healthy. We want you to be happy. We want you to be living life because you deserve that. And anybody else that tells you otherwise, that you don't deserve it, you should tell them to go and kiss your butt. You know what I'm saying? Because you're here for the positivity of life, not the negativity. And, if somebody just still doesn't really, believe in you or doesn't care, just tell them to kiss your behind. That's the bottom line. So, that being said, for the one time, coming all the way over in the Prototype Studio in Wheaton, Maryland, this is your boy Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, your host with the most, the man with the plan, the guy that's got the power within the hour, and the dude with the right attitude, saying thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I keep on doing this for you because it's not just my podcast show, it's yours too. And I do it for you guys because this is my creative medium, and my creativity, leads me to this path. And as long as you guys want me to still do it, I'll keep on doing it until the wheels fall off and I can't do it no more. So, for the one time, God bless y'all. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And, we will check you out on another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I love y'all. be good and be safe, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right, deuces. I'm out. Peace.